GM. Good morning. Peter Flores says, good morning, hustlers. Morning, hustlers. How are we doing today on this fine Thursday? PPI, inflation running a little hot. Markets are terrified because their inflation hedge coin is not an inflation hedge. Or maybe it is because it's up 10x in the last 2 years or so.
All I know is my moon cats are moving, man. So I like to see that. Dude, I like
Don't remind me, dude. Don't remind me.
Salt to Jake, man.
Oh, Jake fumbled generational wealth.
literally, dude. That Mr. Moo Cat's probably worth $1 million.
Have they been going pretty crazy right now like that?
Yeah, they're going pretty crazy. I think Genesis cats are up to like 80, 90,000. That was my PFP that got stolen. Mr. Moo is the second most valuable moon cat in existence, so that shit's probably worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. The 2020 cat, only one of two that exists, probably worth.
Jake
same as
the moon cat community, bro. Hate to see it.
Yeah, man, dude, just fumbling millions of dollars. Not fumbling, getting hacked. I guess that's the same. I was sacrifice. One day I'll come back though and acquire some, but I still have some. I also lost like a handful of the like sub 1K mints. I still have like, I think like 5 or 10 of them that are still worth like a few ETH each, but yeah, pain. Every time I see that pump in, I'm like, God, I knew that literally liquidated.
Hey, when you can be so right and yet still miss out, like, bro, that's what, you know, it's obviously what happened to you was a different story. That's a theft, but this shit happens, man. This is fun. It's brutal. I mean, I don't know if you guys tracked, but Pride Punk's DAO was hacked a couple days ago as well. You know, it's just like, man, this shit is self-custody is fucking hard as fuck. And you know, it's brutal to see this sort of stuff happening, but it happens.
Yeah. We just got to make it all back with hustle and migrate fund and Emblem and everything else to come, so we could come back with the victory tour.
By the way, your fumbles, did you see the path was on
I saw that
on no Thread Guy's show, and he was shilling V1s, man. I guess he bought like an ape or something for 50 ETH a couple days ago.
Recently. That was like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and so he was shilling the V1s, and I don't know what did Leo sold his whole bag at, like, you know, half an ETH or something like that. So he's down terrible today, because now I think it's like a 3 or 3.5.
Leo liquidated, I think, like all of his HNFTs. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I saw him sell like 3 or 4 Satoshi cards over this year.
I mean, I think he sold the V1s into like blur bids or whatever, just dumped them, whoosh, all of them. I think he had like, I don't know, 20 or 50 or God knows what. But anyway, it's the game, man.
I remember when V1s were first started taking off, I could have bought like a bunch of them at like half an ETH. And I was like, who the fucker is going to buy these? That's when they were there. That was before the wrapper was made for the V1 punks. So it was like, everyone's terrified, right? It's like it was like if you owned them natively unwrapped, there was like an exploit where if it's listed, then the person who sold them
gets the money and the punk.
the money and the punk, I think is what it was. Yeah, something like that. There's some crazy stories of stuff going on there, but if it's in the wrapper, you're safe. You're good to go. So HNFTs obviously coming back, which is great to see. It's I'm a little dead inside now since I've lost like all my Namecoin assets and everything got stolen. I lost my castle in that hack.
Oh, damn.
I lost a handful of my rare Pepes, like the mining cards and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely like $500,000 exploit there. Pain as they go up. But I mean, the thesis is right and we always knew it. And now people are valuing Mooncats as like I guess you know, like the historical kind of punks that they are. Obviously not to that degree, but we just knew the HNFT thesis is you just have to literally hold and do nothing.
I mean, I wasn't sure we'd get a little pump this cycle, and who knows where it's going to go. It might die this week too, right? I thought it might have to take a whole nother cycle. Maybe next cycle is like, I'm not selling anything this cycle. I'm holding until next cycle, for sure. And actually, I might, the fall after this cycle may be tremendous, right? That may be the best buy time, right? But who knows, man? Who knows? But yeah, if you're not losing, you're not winning in crypto. That's for sure. There's always some loss here.
There definitely is. But outside of loss, there's some things to gain. Pump is losing one of their big projects, and Bonk Fun is gaining them. Yesterday, the announcement of Moby Agent migrating from Pump Fun to Bonk Fun. And this is something that we had been in the conversations with for quite a while. They were actually one of the first teams to reach out to us. But I don't think it's actually more because of us. It's the Matthias and them have a long history and relationship with the Bonk Eno community before Bonk Fun, as well as a good friendship with the Radium team. So they're a really good team to work with. There's a lot of other things kind of happening behind the scenes in conversations and such. I know there was a handful of people who were upset they didn't tag Migrate Fund in the post, but the thing that I could say is the larger these companies are, the more politics there are, the more checks and balances, the more organizational structure, the more reasoning. We ask companies to tag us, but it is not required at all. And so it's best to be hands off. I know some people were upset, but at the end of the day, their migration's happening on our platform. And what it tells me actually is like, if you go through this post that if you're pulled up, 300,000 views, 166 comments, 800 likes, you go through and you could tell there's just people are excited about the migration. There are some people that are like, this is a terrible decision, which obviously it just comes with all migrations, but nobody has any idea that Migrate Fund's really involved. So I think that's still your alpha opportunity to be participating in this ecosystem, because I think once it actually hits the site, when these all happen in September, that people are going to be like, what the hell is this? What is going on here? And then maybe see a lot more excitement.
I mean, you're literally going to have, I don't know, 10,000 people hit the site. We better get those servers ready, man. But you're going to have that many people, and then they're going to see that the native token is hustle. And I think that's going to be the big aha moment. So yeah, it's still, we saw a little pump when this happened, but I think that was almost just our own community, like buying more,
Yeah.
It's not the wider community as the crypto Twitter does not understand that the hustle token is behind Migrate Fund yet. There was kind of an awareness to it, but it's just faded away, but it's not widely understood yet. So as Bertoshi saying, something exponential growth. Yeah.
So Moby Screener, the team behind it is Asset Dash. Asset Dash is a huge Solana infrastructure company. They provide a bunch of tooling. They launched the token Mobi through Pump Fund during the AI boom. And they created an agent called Mobi Agent that has gotten a lot of attention. And they built out Mobi Screener, which has started commanding, I guess, a lot of users and pulling them from Dex Screener over to Mobi Screener. And I've started using it as we were talking with them over the last week or two. It's got a bunch of good tooling, I gotta say. It is a pretty good platform. And also just getting to know Matthias, who is the founder. Really cool guy, really kind of forward thinking. And he's just been completely on board with the platform, with what we're doing, and just the whole movement. You know, some people think with these teams migrating, the majority of them that we talk with, actually, I'd say all of them, are not bashing Pump in any way. They're just literally looking at it as this is a new opportunity and a new start. And I think that's where some of the naysayers get wrong in terms of bashing, is that literally all these teams are just like, dude, fresh start, new chart, and I could do all kinds of cool opportunities. Like Mobi Screener, they came in and said, creator fees will allow us to unlock potentially millions in fuel growth, and they're going to do Mobi buybacks. So 50% of creator fees go toward Mobi buybacks. 50% of creator fees go towards product development, creator fee scale, product adoption, more volume, more buybacks, etc. Something flywheel. And so Bonk Fund, they say unlocking growth through, this is the network effect. I think this is like the main thing that most people are looking for when they come to Bonk Fund. They say Bonk Fund uses 1% of weekly revenue to buy back top pairs. Mobi would be second largest coin by market cap on its Bonk after useless. So they're looking at it as, you know, they get to be a whale in a blue ocean instead of being in the red ocean of Pump Fund with millions of tokens. The Bonk network's expansive. The team successfully landed Bonk on major trading venues, and they also got a handful of exchanges like Coinbase to list useless yesterday. So I think a lot of people are thinking about it as, you know, a more direct path to exchange listings and growth. And they believe in Mobi Screener. So they said the migration set to take place in September, and there's no need to do anything else. I think they nailed everything completely right here. Matthias goes on to talk about his relationship with Nam and Cadence for years. Those are two. I think Nam's like one of the main contributors behind Bonk Inu, who's now leading, from what I was reading, is leading the Bonk treasury company, the DAT. So there's a Bonk treasury company that came in. I think I saw something else. The Bonk treasury company bought like 10% of revenues in Bonk Fund in some capacity. I think I remember seeing a post there. And then Cadence is like the head guy over at least at Bonk Fund, or who's been helping out outside of Tom. That's generally who we're communicating with is Cadence and a few of the other guys. So they've had a good relationship for a long time. And Matthias, who's the founder at Mobi Screener, says that the migration will be seamless, one-to-one conversion. They've actually been very persistent on that. And actually, Mobi is one of the reasons why we were able to kind of build a new method in terms of migrations and not have to go through the bonding curve. That was actually really advocated for by Mobi Screener. So shout out to them. That's a big land for the platform. And I think there's a few more things to come that haven't really been announced yet.
Maybe just like you're good at kind of framing that for people, understanding what that meant, like on Bonk Fund, with originally having to use the bonding curve and only getting 80% of the tokens or whatever. If you want to just give people a kind of 1 minute overview of what that and the change that's been enabled.
Yeah. So this is where I mean by business development, right? And what I mean, like in the last week or two, we've gotten tons of people reaching out about migrating to Pump Fund, but not really teams. It's more like token holders, potential investors and stuff like that. And they say, is this possible? And we're like, yeah, it's possible, but Pump Fund doesn't have an open source SDK for the bonding curve. So you have to go through these kind of conversations. And to the fortunate side of Radium, who has the Radium SDK plus the LaunchLab SDK, which is their open source developer tooling for Radium pools and the Radium bonding curves for their Launchpad. we were easily able to build on this technology. And also they were just completely on board from the beginning. And so because of this like open relationship that we've had with them and them willing to work with us and having the available tooling, we were able to assess all the different mechanisms on how to do a successful migration. And so ultimately what we came to was we had integrated Radium as the LP, right? This is what we did with the Hustle. But there was this massive wave of interest of migrating to BonkFun. And so we kind of had to have this conversation internally and then externally with Radium and BonkFun is what is actually a BonkFun migration, right? What makes something a BonkFun token? And there's some technical stuff on the back end, but how everything is set up is like you have to go through this bonding curve, right? So like to show up as a BonkFun ecosystem token on like CoinGecko and Jupiter and all these things, you have to go through the bonding curve. And so there's this dilemma of, okay, well, if you go through the bonding curve, then you're only able to buy 80% of the tokens in the bonding curve, which, if you want to ensure that everyone gets their tokens 1-to-1, that's not possible with going through the bonding curve. And right, this is again where we get into the situation of every situation's different. Some people want to do a discount. Some people have a hard cutoff. Some people want to do it 1-to-1. Right? Everyone kind of is in their own ecosystem. Somebody at the scale of Moby Screener who has 20,000 holders, they have investors and Asset Dash. They need to ensure that everyone is taken care of to their situation. And so going through a bonding curve would not work at all. It is just like they would never be able to get everyone 1-to-1 tokens. And so then we came up with this idea. Well, they partly did. We had suggested it in the beginning, and Moby Screener really helped us push it over the edge of, well, what if we, don't use the bonding curve, but we just migrate to a Radium pool and we set up all the other parameters so that all the migrators can have the opportunity to allow 1-to-1 redemptions for all of the projects. Again, not every project has this situation, but for them, that's what they needed. And with Matthias's relationship with Radium and with BonkFun and with us, and we were able to kind of come to this agreement and build the platform in this way. And then we had to make the changes, and then we had to get the audit, which starts next Monday, right? So this is what I mean when everyone's like, why is it September now? And it's like, dude, there's literally tons of conversations and negotiations and building this, right? This is not a simple thing to do. I assume this is kind of how the conversation was when Radium and Pump Fund were first working together of how do you get the bonding curve into the LP pool, right? There's like, you have to go back and forth with these ideas. We had to do the same exact thing with BonkFun and Radium and Moby Screener coming in. And so all the migrations that are going to BonkFun, they actually don't have to go through the bonding curve anymore, which we'd originally thought. But with this comes additional work for us, right? Getting hooked up with all of the directories and kind of building all these relationships with the exchanges and such. And Moby's going to play a role there in the forward. So it was overall really cool opportunity. Excited to work for them. Big land for the platform themselves, landing the whale.
100%. Yeah, it's huge. Huge for Bonk, honestly. It's
Facts. Great. And let's not forget that migrations are for the communities and the creators and the tokens that are migrating, and so at the heart of it, we're infrastructure and they're not required to support our marketing. Some people choose to support our marketing, and that's fine. We are going to support their marketing if they so choose. But at the end of the day, we are the infrastructure behind it. Emblem Vault is just an infrastructure company in general. So we're kind of used to being behind the scenes. We're used to being invisible. Migrate Fund has been a little bit more public, whether that was intentional or not, I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, the Schelling point is it's a huge moment for these communities and creators to take the leap. And some of it just want to own that moment themselves. And some do want to share it with Migrate Fund and Hustle and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, it's up to the communities and the creators. And so I think the community just needs to acknowledge that.
Totally. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like they're going to know when they visit the site, right? when they go to Migrate, they're all going to learn, which is great. Like that's what's better than that, actually using the product. That's the best.
Yeah, and we're new to the Solana ecosystem. We've been around building for a while. Most people on Bitcoin know who we are. The majority of people on ETH know who we are. Solana, that is not the case. So we are the new kids on the block. We have to build our reputation there. Although it precedes us previously, that still does not work. You have to treat every blockchain as a brand new ecosystem. You're the new guy, and we still have to prove it. Right, which is fine.
Chris was on Solana at $8, bro. Come on, you got to give the boy his props, man.
That's true. That's true. I am a Solana OG.
No, I meant as a business.
I'm joking.
Yeah. No, dude, Chris was showing me on Solana when we were running native research, and I was like, I don't know.
Just as an aside, bro, there are a lot of Solana $8 buyers on the timeline. I was there. Provably, I was there. No, they weren't there. Okay, no one was there. There was like 6 of us. So everyone claims that they were there at $8. I promise you, they were not. I have the receipts. Okay, I don't ask them for the receipts. They don't have.
I've seen them.
Bro was in the Bodagos at the launch.
Also, Solana is very small, and so maybe the community can take note of that. There's like 20 legit teams building. So as Migrate Fund, as Emblem Vault's infrastructure and everything gets kind of more well tuned to the Solana ecosystem, like everybody's kind of a message away. And as you become kind of a top builder on Solana, all the other top builders on Solana. So take that for what it is.
Yep. And one thing that I've noticed, and I tweeted this earlier, I was looking through all the projects that are migrating. So I think out of the confirmed announcements of the 12, I think 7 of them are AI companies. And I was looking through this list, which is like almost 80 confirmed conversations. There's been other ones kind of ancillary, but the majority of those are AI teams too. So there's 2 clear things that are happening to me here. Is AI companies want off of Bonk, and they want off of AI companies want off of Pump. And the reasons are generally around 2 ideas. They want better rewards and they want to rebrand. There's a bunch of companies that are rebranding, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And then obviously some teams want to recoup the treasury in a variety of ways, whether it's late fees or whatever it is. And so as Pump kind of moves to this kind of creator focused live streaming economy, AI companies do not fit in that, and they are overwhelmingly aware they do not fit into this future thesis. And so they're trying to find a home somewhere else. This then leads me to believe that the Bonk ICM markets, this is their kind of tech markets, could be the big play here for the Bonk ecosystem. Like all of these teams that are moving, you're going to have, a wave of 10 to 20 AI companies moving over to Bonk. There are a few who are moving to their own Radium pools, but that could be a big opportunity there for Bonk to support these ICM markets. And there are teams who've reached out to us from Believe app that are also kind of watching as well. Yep. So that may be for those who are just kind of speculating. I think the Bonk ICM markets may be something to follow here in the near future.
Certainly these AI companies, and obviously we've talked to all of them now, who are interested in migrating. These are teams building real stuff. And I think I put a tweet out yesterday about just this idea that, I think we called it. It hasn't, the next wave hasn't happened yet, but at least crypto Twitter is going to wake up to this AI thesis. And there's still time in this cycle for, these AI companies to really pop again. And I tweeted out a video of, I can't remember the dude's name, the guy on YouTube, Alex, right? Yeah, Alex Baker. And he's, he's a normie guy, right? He's pitching the normies on YouTube. And he's pitching a thesis, which is blatantly obvious to us, but not blatantly obvious to the rest of crypto Twitter. And I think we're going to get another go around of the AI thesis because it's so obvious. It's what's happening in the real world. This is the crypto, aspect of it. And there are going to be billion-dollar valuations on some of these companies and their tokens. There's zero question. It's just which ones, right? And I think that for a lot of these teams, they all know it. They still are in. They still want to do this. They're doing it. The migration is the way to get control of their project again. And I think it's super exciting to see where this is going to be in the next 6 months. There's going to be some massive, massive moves.
Yeah, we also had an AI company, another one, announce their migration yesterday called Gove AI. And they're actually using this as an opportunity to rebrand to Agent Mock. And so they have rebranded the account and Agent Mockingbird. So they call it Rogue Intel Operative. And they're going to continue to build. It's kind of cool. It's like an AI pigeon, right? Because the joke is that pigeons are robots or surveillance tools of the deep state. It's always been, that's kind of like the meme. And so they're like, I think the third or fourth team who's going to be rebranding. Again, they're all AI companies that are rebranding. IQ 6900 is rebranding. I think it was these Gove AI is rebranding, and there was, I think, another one. Radar is rebranding as well. So you could see, like, they have the thesis. Hey, AI is not going away. If we get a fresh chart, we can follow in Hustle's footsteps, and the most people who are looking at this are going to look at it as a new project. Right? A lot of people who came into the Hustle community had no idea Tensorium even exists. Probably some of them still have no idea that it even exists. So you become, quote unquote, the new and shiny coin. And I think a lot of teams are realizing this is that opportunity.
Facts. Let's see if I can do this. I mean, most tokens, the vast majority of tokens don't exist yet. It's hard to believe that we have like millions of tokens, hundreds of millions at this point. The vast majority of tokens that exist today is nowhere near how many tokens is going to exist in 10 years or 100 years or 50 years. So you're at the very beginning. I hate to say that we're early, but like actually in this case, you really are early. And how many tokens are going to outgrow their place of origin? They were launched on a launchpad. A launchpad for a lot of people is a launchpad. It's for the launch. Think of a rocket launching. It doesn't stay tethered to the launchpad. It moves on. It outgrows it. It moves, towards space. And so just in general, like in terms of migrations, look at the sample size of the first cohort. They're all migrating for a variety of different reasons, right? Some want a rebrand. Some just want to own their LP. Some want to go to a hotter launchpad. All of these things are regenerative. They can do it again. They might need another rebrand. There might be a different blockchain that they want to move to in the future, another ecosystem, a hotter launchpad. So all these things are just kind of regenerative. It's not like a one-time thing. Maybe some of these migrations will happen one time, but with something like Migrate Fund, the ease of the platform and how simple it is, I wouldn't be shocked to see some of these projects move to a launchpad and then get a bigger taste of the rewards, liquidity rewards, and then want their own pool, maybe 6 months or a year down the road, or change the thesis of their project. But in general, migrations are not going away. They're only going to get bigger. We're only going to have more tokens launched in the ecosystem. And it's only natural that a lot of those tokens are going to want to outgrow their place of origin. So the total market for migrations is way bigger than I think people are giving it credit for.
And we're even seeing it happen, obviously, without even Migrate Fund. In the AI sector, Billy Bets is an AI sports betting token that was launched on Virtuals, and they just migrated to their own standalone, I think, Aerodrome LP on Base, right? And so it's just the signs that AI companies can start on these launch pads. That's where you grow your user base, and then eventually it's time to kind of grow up and become something much larger.
I mean, we see it, right? This is our company. This is what we do. And like, I think Jake made the point a couple shows ago about how, people pushed back on Rare Pepe's being sold on OpenSea back in 2021. Like, that's not the way Rare Pepe should somehow trade, right? And to Chris's point, this idea of migrations, it's still so new to most people that they don't get the grander vision yet, right? And that's why it's fun to watch, because we get it, because we're kind of native to it. But to think that it's even only going to be locked on Solana or only be locked on Ethereum, it's just not the way it operates, right? If whatever Monad kicks off and it's really rocking on Monad, you don't think some of these teams will want to go to Monad? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that they will simply move where the liquidity is and where they can work out the best deal for themselves. That's the way crypto operates. And so it's exciting and fun for us. When this hits, it hit for us obviously in 21 with Rare Pepe's. It's hitting for us again here, but this is just the way assets move around blockchains. And it's fucking great when your thesis plays out, man.
Hey, knock on wood. But
knock on wood, bro.
Think of this. Think of how much things have changed within the Ethereum ecosystem. They went with a broader L2 plan of attack. The L2s weren't paying enough in rent, and so now they're focused on scaling the L1. And so if you're on like a second or third tier L2, you're kind of like dead on arrival. Like, what are you doing out there? If Vitalik's gonna focus on scaling the L1, you need to migrate back to the L1, or maybe you want to migrate to Solana. And that's just one. Think of the thousands of tokens, hundreds of thousands, millions of tokens that are built on these one-off or two-off L2s that need to get back to an L1. And there's just like so many tokens out there.
Totally.
A lot of them are going to want to move. Trust me.
Yeah, it's just think of it just like a business, right? Once you get leverage, if you're a physical business, a lot of times you are able to renegotiate your rent in the commercial center that you're in because you have leverage. And if they don't want to pay, then you just say, hey, we're just going to go leave. We're going to go take our business somewhere else, right? That's in shopping malls. That's all across the world. And what Migrate Fund is just literally a business relocation company at this point in time. And the majority of businesses tend to move wherever there's better incentives and better opportunities. So I don't think it's fair for traders or token holders to say that, you know, these companies are not doing it, are you know, doing a disservice to their community. No, they're trying to provide a service. They're trying to increase the potential value accrual to the token, to the platform, new users. And sometimes, you know, communities dry up. I mean, look at, you know, we live in the US, but look at how many people are leaving California. California was the hottest place in the world for 150 years. And now people want to get the fuck out because it's falling apart. Like, why would you want to keep your business there? And you're starting to see people from Silicon Valley leave. You're seeing people move to Texas. They're moving to Florida. They're moving to Vegas. And it would just be like, right, if you're an Apple shareholder and California's falling apart, why would you want them to stay there? You're like, get the hell out of there, right? Or like all the people for Tesla. It's like the same idea. These, you know, politicians or whatever, regulators are attacking Tesla in California. And the shareholders said, let's get the hell out of here. Let's go to Texas. And this is literally the same exact situation.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're seeing it. We're having people reach out to us, whatever they want to move off Tezos or whatever. Yeah, this is just what we do. It's just funny how so many people still don't get it, don't get that idea. And the pushback you got, obviously we got a lot of pushback over the last week about how it's somehow unfair or it's not right. You know, the LP is locked. It should stay locked. You know, the most ridiculous of arguments. It's like, what are we talking about here? Are we in crypto? I thought we were in crypto. I thought these were my assets to do with what I wanted. But this is the pushback you get. And, you know, there's little question we're going to be proven right over time. But that pushback is part of the just human nature aspect of it. And it actually helps a lot spread the awareness, which was kind of crazy, but all good.
And I tweeted this yesterday real quick, just that all of the teams with 100% certainty are doing what's best for their community. They're actually standing out as doing, from all the other teams, as standing out for doing whatever it takes to win. They are willing to pick up and move their whole community to a new place of origin, a new home, in order to try and succeed. This is what people have done since the beginning of time. And I think even with a little bit of backlash and maybe migrations are a bit taboo, I mean, some teams don't want to face that. But as it gets more normalized, you're going to see a lot more teams moving. So as it becomes more normalized, you're going to see a lot more teams moving.
I mean, basically all these teams were waiting for the first migration, right? And you know, there are hundreds waiting for this next one to make sure it goes well for them and see how, you know, if number goes up for all these teams, bro, floodgates. It's just going to be.
They're going to be making more money. They're going to be more free. I mean, so many of them, they have new branding. So many of them are doing it for their own personal reasons that it's already a win. It's already a win for them no matter what happens. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, Spacebun says, hey guys, GM. So GM to you. Yeah, this morning I woke up with 2 DMs from teams who had reached out about migrations last month. And literally their opening sentence is, oh, I saw Moby is migrating. I think I might want to actually participate now, right? So, and that's what Chris means of things just become more validated over time as you get these larger teams and larger companies. And I wouldn't be surprised after this first migration wave, which is at 12 announced. I think there's still another, I keep saying 4 to 6, but it keeps staying that number as teams migrate because there's more teams who just keep reaching out. So, you can add anywhere from another 3 to 10 teams by the time that this happens at the beginning of September. And, we'll kind of go from there. But, in the larger situation, then looking at, I guess, abstracting and going back to the Launchpad wars are still kind of going on between the 3 major Goliaths, right? You have Pump Fund that has Pump Fund and Pump Swap. You have Radium that has Bonk Fund ecosystem. And then obviously you have the Jupiter ecosystem, which is with Meteora. To me, it seems like the directions are starting to change a little bit in the winds, right? You have Pump that's now focusing more on creators, or kind of basically, I wouldn't say turning their back, but they're just moving their focus from builders to creators, right? And so that's why people want to leave. And that's very apparent to me. You have the Radium ecosystem, which the partnership with Bonk is just looking to be like a 300 IQ move at this point in time. And they're starting to capture, right, some of the AI companies. They have the treasury company that's now coming in, the Bonk community. And then you have Jupiter that's kind of out there, I think, still trying to figure out where their next kind of move is in this ecosystem. They obviously have Meteora. Meteora is launching a token, but haven't really seen too much from there. But it seems like the Bonk ecosystem is only going to continue to grow from here. What do you think happens now with a treasury companies involved, right? Obviously, with migrations, Radium's continuing to grow, and so on. Do you think they actually have opportunity? I wouldn't even say dethrone, because to me, it seems like their teams are just kind of going in opposite directions, but continue to capture mind share, continue to capture volume, and continue to maybe be the dominant player or dominant ecosystem, by this point next, or maybe 6 months from now.
Man, it's really hard to say where it's going to go. Really hard. I mean, I think Pump has a distinct advantage. Being the first real winner, and that network effect is powerful. I've already kind of said my hesitancy to bet on them as a streaming platform. I think it's really tough to do that, and they're leaning in as like that's their main focus. I just not seeing huge wins there, potentials, but it is kind of leaning into this creator economy, which is what's going on with Zora and stuff. Which I mean, we all know my thoughts on that, but yeah, I just think I don't know. The reality is none of us know how this is going to play out. I think it's healthy in that, there's battles between these big players. It would not be healthy if there was kind of one monolith where nobody could move around. There was no other opportunities. I think that's one of the benefits of what's happening here. We saw it last cycle with NFTs, with OpenSea, and OpenSea being unwilling to move, how they just got their lunch handed to them because they were non-flexible. I don't think that's happening with Pump. I think Alan's a great operator and, is changing and pivoting and kind of trying to do his thing. But at the same time, he's running now a much larger organization where it's more difficult for them to move. So we'll see. I don't know who's going to be the winner, or if there's very potentially multiple winners here. Who knows? But it's going to be a battle. I think they're obviously battling, which is great.
So I guess in presenting it over to Chris's, you have these battles going on. Now there's some segmentation. Does this next level, I guess you'd say, of the quote unquote launchpad wars actually extend beyond launchpads and actually attracts new capital into the ecosystem? Because now there is, I guess you would say, some paths being made and some direction for these companies that maybe onboards new blood into the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that's like the bigger vision, right? I mean, like if we extend out our time horizons, I mean, it's cool to play for, who's going to win in the next 6 months, but the real value capture is who's going to win in the next 6 years, and who is like the most vibrant ecosystem for a new creator to launch on. And so it's a net win for users to have them competing for users, competing for new launches, competing for new projects that want to take part in their ecosystem. So I think at the end of the day, no matter what, because of tools like Migrate Fund really pushing the envelope and forcing their hand to, reward the creators to a great degree, users are going to win here. But who's going to win over the next 6 months or 6 years? I mean, it's really difficult to say. But at the end of the day, I think all that matters is that creators and communities are winning. So I don't really care who wins the Launchpad wars. I care about creators and communities winning. and getting rewarded for, the value that they bring to the ecosystem. We said it again, but I mean, these liquidity pools, these rewards, they're worth a lot of money. I mean, if you're doing $3 or $4 million a day, that's $10,000 a day in potential rewards that you are earning one of these teams. And if you owned your whole liquidity pool. And so, I mean, that's $300,000 a month that you can be using to evangelize and grow your project and your mission. That's like an insane amount of money. And I don't think that people realize how much money they're leaving on the table here with these liquidity rewards. That's not even the revenue generated from their product. That's the liquidity from traders trading in and out of their coin. And so, I don't know, I just look for, users winning more and more, creators and communities winning more and more, and Launchpad's just kind of fees going down to zero. Maybe not to zero, but trending towards zero. I think that's obvious.
We saw this happen with the NFT wars last cycle, right? The fees did essentially go down to zero. And we did actually, I think, find the bottom, which was no tokenomics for NFT platforms, but a platform fee of, 2% or whatever it is. That seemed to be the bottom. They tried to go much lower, and they're like, we're going to bring this whole thing to zero fees, right? That's what Blair did. But we'll add this tokenomic kind of liquidity mechanism, and turns out that ended up imploding in their face after a year or two. So I think what Chris is saying is there's going to be some sort of natural bottom that we'll find. It's lower than here, but who knows how low or what the actual mechanism is itself, which is fun to be explored.
For sure. I mean, that's it with crypto. The fees tend to trend to zero, no doubt.
So then if we think about, Solana in general, what's the next growth stage for Solana? From a traditional finance standpoint, there's no Solana ETF in America yet. There's really no Solana. There's one Solana treasury company. I saw there was supposed to be another Solana treasury company that kind of imploded. And some
did it implode already?
The Joe McCann thing. I've just been kind of loosely following it. I think he bailed on it because of some sort of controversy.
He lost a lot of money for. It wasn't Path. Who did he lose?
No, I think he had like some sort of high growth fund or something like that.
80%,
and it was down.
Oh, it's for not DC Investor. It was for Mike Dudas.
Right? It was for Big Brain.
Oh,
maybe Dudas was in there too, but it was Big Brain. That was like vocal on the timeline about it.
Okay, so
down 80%, yeah.
What's the next growth stage for Solana? Ethereum is kind of capturing Wall Street now, right? L2's, Robinhood's coming. There's going to be more of these, whether it's a real estate focused L2 by some sort of gigantic real estate company, et cetera, XYZ. Chris, what do you think is next for Solana?
I just think we're just going to see more tokens. I mean, look at what happened with like the Salerization of everything. People are like, wow, I can just create a treasury fund. I'm going to do that. Now you have Tom Lee, you have Joe Lubin, you have all these people that are raising these treasury funds. And then you have like these meme coins that are like going to millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. These adults, like, it's like that meme, like I just learned about Bitcoin. I'm here to fix it. Like, just like people, like they have to throw themselves into the fire. They can't help themselves. They have to do it. So they see like all these children in their eyes. They're just kids. That's what they love to say. Oh, these kids, they don't know what they're doing. They're raising all this money through tokens. Well, I want to get involved in that. So I just think we're going to see a lot more shit tokenized. I really think we're going back to the ICO era. I think that like we're going to see these quote unquote adults, apparently we're not adults, we're not the adults in the room anymore. Now it's Wall Street coming on board and saying, I want to build this business here and tokenize it on Solana or whatever it is. So I think that over the next year, you're going to see a lot more legitimate quote unquote businesses launching tokens.
Let's just, my most bullish case for Solana is David Sachs completes his president thing. I think it's happening in the next month or so. He's going to step down because he's run his 6 months or whatever it's supposed to be. And he starts his Solana treasury company, bro. That would be bullish, bro. Would that be bullish, Chris?
Is that your speculation? You should open up a poly
bullish,
market
bro. Bullish.
I think he was actually a seed investor in Solana.
He was
originally.
He was.
No.
That would be.
Man,
I don't think he holds any of those tokens for what it's worth anymore.
I heard he had to divest, or he did divest all his Solana.
I think that he actually sold them much before that. I think he sold them in like 2020.
Sold all the Chama.
Yeah. He was doing a lot of big OTC deals back then. and just kind of like he gets credit for being like a crypto guy. He like honestly didn't really get it. He wasn't in the trenches. He didn't really see the value prop for a lot of the shit. I must be honest. And he gets credit for being like a diehard crypto guy. He really was not that guy.
Yeah, it happens, man. It definitely happens. So then I guess where are we today in the industry? I think all sectors got like a somewhat of a pump. It seems like NFTs got maybe the largest of them, like at least maybe from a absolute bottom situation, right? All the NFTs were dead. I think Moonbirds is up like 10x or 15x or something of that nature.
Crazy, bro.
The crypto punk
Moonbirds, bro. I was like,
Punk's floor is 250K.
Bro, I was like, I will not be fucking Jedi mind tricked into buying Moonbirds. Fuck that, dude. I would rather die than buy a fucking Moonbird. Fuck that, bro. I refuse, bro. Sorry.
I would never buy it. You'll never
on
see
principle,
that's for sure.
On principle. How the hell are you buying a Moonbird? No way, dude.
So what 3 sectors of crypto then do you think? Let's say we're definitely past halfway of the bull run. We've been saying on this show for over a year at least that the top was going to be somewhere around America's 250th anniversary. So that's still another, year away or so, probably maybe sometime before. If you had to bet down on 3 sectors right now, would to be the highest growth opportunity, what are the 3 sectors?
Go for it, Chris. What do you got?
Oh, dude. Well, I got to go to the Bitcoin ecosystem. I mean, it's literally on ground zero. Maybe it can go negative. Maybe it can go into negative territory somehow. But in terms of like growth potential, it's going from 0 to 1. This is like the 0 to 1 moment where we're literally going from zero liquidity on Bitcoin tokens to hopefully billions of dollars in tokens. So that's the highest growth potential. Obviously, AI. And I just think the meme coins are just, people love the meme coins, bro. And I mean, they classify them as collectibles. I don't know. You have all these treasury funds that are going to continue to be sprung up to buy these alt L1s. And so it just kind of stabilizes. That's like the buyer of last resort, and just lets like the kids play on chain. Basically, you don't really have to worry about a ton of downside volatility, because I think people are just going to continue to lever up until they implode to buy these alt L1s. And then, so I think the on-chain activity is just really going to boom. So I look for AI, Bitcoin meme coins, and Bitcoin ecosystem tokens, and then just meme coins in general on Solana and Ethereum.
Yeah, my top would be AI, definitely. I think it's going to have another glorious run. This time with real companies, though. The KOLs are not going to run. It's going to be the real companies.
You're talking AI KOLs, you mean?
AI KOLs, yeah. AI KOLs, other than AI XBT, are not going to run again. This is going to be real companies, which I think obviously we're well positioned for. I'd say, I'm not necessarily there will be more meme coin cycles, 100%, no doubt. I'm not sure this cycle has another run in it with meme coins. I think meme coins are they're here. There's always going to be a runner. There's going to be a daily runner, but it's not, I just don't see it holding. Everything is kind of like people are instant dumping. I just don't see it happening this cycle where we get another huge kind of meme coin run. I will say, and I it's kind of been teased like, oh, it feels like we might get a HNFT run or just a general NFT run here. I don't think so. I don't think there's the new buyers. That said, I do think as everything goes up, the high-end art, I think we might see a little run in kind of high-end NFT art, because that's kind of like what I think of as like the tip of the spear in the whole kind of sector. So we may see a run in that. But who knows, man? I'm just guessing. This is all guessing.
Yeah, I'm like the same. I mean, I don't want to be boring and say that my 3 was like Bitcoin ecosystem, AI was number 1, and NFTs. But if I had to choose like another ecosystem outside of that, I would say somewhere in the specialized L2 space, there's going to be like an ecosystem growth, right? Whether it's like abstract ecosystem. I think Base has kind of run its course already, although Base is still continuing to grow. I think we're starting to get that time where it could be like abstract ape chain, Azuki chain kind of thing, where it's like you get something in there where the whole ecosystem starts running and gets this like positive flywheel I guess you would say like net worth growth or whatever it's called, where everyone gets rich in the ecosystem. So then the money just continues to spin over and over and over inside of it. Something
that's kind of like the killer app thesis, right? Like a killer app on it literally doesn't matter the chain. Killer app on Bitcoin, right? I think I was on a show the other day where it's like we're always in the market for a killer app. And it literally won't matter. If we spot that, anybody spots a killer app, please let us know, because the chain and everything around it benefits always if that happens. So yeah, it could happen on Abstract, or who knows, Monad. Who knows, man. But yeah, always keep your eyes peeled for that.
We were talking about this on I think we were talking about this on like one of our team calls, but it's like the all L1 thesis or trade is like essentially dead at this point now. Like there's going to be one winner that's going to emerge from the Move virtual machine ecosystem, right? Like the UTXO winner is obviously Bitcoin. And then you have like Dogecoin is kind of the number 2, and Litecoin, I guess. You have Ethereum is the winning EVM, obviously. And then you have the ancillary, either all L1, all EVM L1s, which is like, I guess Avalanche is maybe like the next one there. And then you have the L2s, which are the generalized L2s. And then you have the L3s, which are like the app chains, I guess. Solana is obviously the winning SVM, and that was the winner of this cycle. And then you have the Move VM. This is like Monad, Sui, Say. I think there was like a few other ones that are doing it. I just don't think that it's decided, although it does look like Sui is going to start running away with it here pretty soon. And it kind of leads to, what is there to take in terms of like the L1s, right? I like to break it down as kind of a generational idea, right? Like Bitcoin's for boomers. You got Ethereum is for Gen X and millennials, where millennials are the builders and Gen X are like the funders, the VCs. And then you have Solana is by far the Gen Z chain. It's all attention and meme coins and stuff. So if you move out of generation, it's like, what is there a chain to take, right? Are they going to capture the alpha generation, the iPad kids, I guess? But maybe my thoughts, like gaming, I think is like still ripe for someone to take, or for a chain to basically become like the gaming chain. And we saw like, I think Pokemon was supposed to launch some stuff on Sui. There was the Claynosaurs people also moved from Solana native IP to Sui, or they added a collection over there. So it seems like there's some interest there. But I personally haven't really explored it. It's just like kind of headlines and stuff that I've seen. So
gaming is that's the big one sitting out there, man. Just waiting.
Will it ever be solved? Will anyone ever take it?
Everybody's like, it's GTA 6, man. Where's GTA 6 going to happen? GTA 6 chain, maybe. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's going to be like what everyone says, where Stripe's going to build an L2 and USDC is Circle is going to build on L2. It ends up they just build up their own chain.
Sony built an L2 too. I was like, what's happening with that? It's like, yeah, it's really hard to create a winner. Really fucking hard to create a winner. Who knows, man? But
I did watch or somebody talk about an interesting thesis on the Stripe L1 situation or proposition, where they were saying a lot of these traditional finance, or you could call them traditional fintech companies, are going to come in and try to build their L1s, and then they're going to realize the gigantic pain in the ass it is to be a blockchain operator, and that it actually becomes more of a deterrent to them because it takes away from the initial value proposition of their company, right? Which is like payments, because now you have to run nodes and you have to run culture and you have to run all these different things. And they think we're going to go through this. Somebody was calling it like the enterprise blockchain
cycle 2.0, yeah.
2.0, but instead of being private, they're going to be public enterprise chains with certain, kind of centralized areas for it. And ultimately, a lot of them are just going to end up either just completely deleting the project altogether, or they're going to move to like an L2 or onto Solana as an app at some point, because they realize being a blockchain operator is just incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah. And the interoperability between it too, right? Whatever Circle is on its own L1, how does it play with other ones? I mean, it's this has to play out, right? We have to see how this works. But obviously, if grandma's sending her, USDC, she doesn't want to have to know if it's on fucking the L1 of USDC or if it's on Tron. She sends it to a Tron. God knows, this all has to be built out, and there will be mistakes made. So, we think it's native. Are you hot? Are you hot
right now?
Bro, we are. I'm a little high. I'm on my 10th fucking pot of coffee.
Who's
man.
that? Who's that?
Oh
That's
my
Dave.
God.
Dave, what's good?
Yo, you guys,
bro?
yo, what's good, boys? Chris, get a handle on you guys over here. I don't know what the hell they're talking about, okay? Like, USDC minted 5 billion USDC last month. You think that running their own L1 is not going to be profitable?
Oh, I know it's going to be profitable, but how is it going to play with the rest of the? I mean, are they going to win the entire ecosystem, or is it going to play nice with other chains? How's this all going to work?
Yes, they're already eating in the stablecoin game. Like everyone's going to come there, right? Everybody. And you saw what's it called? You saw Stripe do this too, like the whole Privy thing, right? Like they control like payments, wallet settlement. Like they're what was it called? Tempo. I think the USDC one's called ARC and the other one's called Tempo. Like this is going to be you operate all the nodes. It's your network. You get to collect every single dollar. And when you own the entire cycle, I mean, who's you competing with?
I think that's what he's saying, right? Is like you own all the nodes. So it kind of like detracts from your value proposition because then you're just like an opaque chain if you're the one operating all of your own nodes when you can just do it on Ethereum when it's a public ledger.
Is it even a blockchain at that point?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like a database.
Literally, they're running it on a Google Sheet.
It's like we already ran this playbook with private blockchains in like 2018 and 2019. Every kind of Fortune 500 wanted their own private blockchain, and that was just like an intranet. And then now they want their own public blockchain, but they want to control all the nodes. It's like that's the same thing. Like you're the only validator. There's no third-party validator. It's the same thing wrapped in a different like towel.
Yeah, but Chris, they own everything.
I think it's right? Gonna just all converge in a power law where there's all the public infrastructure is being set. You have Ethereum, you have Solana, you have Bitcoin, maybe you have Avalanche, something else. Like 80% of all transactions are going to be done on 20% of the blockchain. That's 100%. And I think there's going to be a lot of migrations. I think like there's a lot of tokens that are built on all these ancillary ecosystems that are going to need to reemerge back to where all the transactions are happening. So I'm not like I don't think every Fortune 500 is going to have their own chain. Maybe Circle can. It's a crypto native company. Maybe they can figure out. Stripe. Do I think that they need to? I think it's way easier for them to just build on Solana, build on Ethereum. I mean, I don't think it's that much infrastructure for them to do compared to creating their own chain and running all their own validator nodes. I don't really understand why anyone would want to do that, or why anyone should assume that they should do that, because it just ruins all the trust assumptions.
Bro, maybe we're looking at this from two very different angles.
Give us your angle, bro. Give it to us,
bro. Yeah, I'm trying to adjust. I'm trying to, but like, if you're Stripe right now, okay, like they made the biggest acquisition in all of crypto, like in the last 6 months with Bridge, right? So now, like the whole stablecoin thing is like Stripe is the biggest swinging dick in the room. Then it was Privy. Right now, you literally own from settlement to wallet. Like this is yours. Everyone has to come to you. So to me, Chris, I would say if it was anybody other than anybody other than Stripe and the deals that Stripe has done, I agree with you. But this deal specifically for this ARC for this Tempo chain or whatever it's called, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me in that case. So
I know it makes sense from their perspective, and I'd probably do the same thing if I'm, CEO of them. Right? Totally get it. But then, won't PayPal want to do that, and won't Bank of America want to do that? And if they're, should they lean? It's kind of like this open source versus closed source thing, right? Are they going to lean into the existing blockchain infrastructure? Is everybody going to build their own chain? And I don't know how that plays out, but as to Chris's point, we've seen it play out once and they all kind of died. So, I mean, looking at that historically, how do you view that, just looking at kind of running this playbook the first time, are you saying, well, it's just everything's changed since then, or what's your view on that?
Yeah, I mean, the way I'm seeing this now is like, aren't like all the banks thinking about like launching like a joint one as well? I think I read that somewhere too. Even if they don't, right? They each like launch their own like separate, obviously stablecoin, which they're gonna. In terms of their own chain, that I can, I mean, that I can see. But when you do so much, like when you're handling so much business, there's a point where like it definitely does make sense to just run all of the validators because you're not looking for product market fit. You are the market at the end of the day, in my opinion. So Bank of America could run their own. This one could run their own, and it'll probably all be like EVM. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, or like an L2 or something like that. So the interoperability factor is
no, they're creating their own L1. That's what they said. They're creating their own L1. Well, I mean, look at Robinhood, for example. So I watched Vlad talk through everything. So they're using Arbitrum's tech stack to create an L2, but they're using Arbitrum's tech stack. They only have to pay 10% of, I think it's fees or something like that. So they're paying a 10% fee to Arbitrum to use their tech stack. They don't have to manage they don't have to manage the nodes. They don't have to manage the validators, but they have all this customizability and optionality to do so. But then they have the option later to roll it into an L1 if it's the right business model. So there's that option to grow. If you're launching your own L1, that's the finality of it, right? You're literally at the ground stage of it. And if this whole thing implodes, then moving to an L2 just seems to be an obsolete choice at that. And then you're also losing the consumer trust at this point in time. Once you've lost your customers in that situation, it's over. It's like, they're like, if they can't run an L1, why would I want them on the L2 situation? Like, it just doesn't really make sense. But it's like, I get it. Like, they're basically taking they're saying that 10% is worth more to build out their own L1. Maybe it is in Stripe situation. I mean, they're the most valuable private company in the world, at least one of them, or at least in America. So maybe that 10% is 10, 20, 30 billion dollars. Who really knows on what that payment flow is? But you also have to think Tether is the real king in crypto. Tether is the most profitable company in the world, at least from a per employee standpoint. And they have to defeat Tether in that situation. If I'm taking a bet on Tether creating their own L1 versus Stripe creating their own L1, I think Tether just runs away with it at that point.
Bro, USDC is minted. I agree with you on that point, but like I think Circle is going to see a lot of money in a very short amount of time, and I don't think anybody kind of saw it. Like all of this converging at once with regulations and everything else. I mean, dude, $5.5 billion. Like those are Tether numbers. Those are better than Tether numbers.
That's kind of the point, Dave. Is like you're saying that USDC minted $5 billion. And you know that because it's on chain, because you can see it on Ethereum. But if they ran their own chain, they would be in control of their own validators. So you would just be trusting
me, bro,
that they minted the $5 billion.
We wonder if is that even crypto at that point?
Exactly, because they don't have the third party checks and balances, the triple entry accounting, the blockchain's permission. And so it's kind of like when Michael Saylor buys $10 billion of Bitcoin through Coinbase custody, but the coins never move. And maybe they were there, maybe they're not there. Did he actually buy them? Because you can't see them on chain. And so it just gets into this like really opaque business model where we're trading our trust assumptions and we're just going back into Web 2. And it's like, that's literally against the entire premise of the whole industry.
I agree.
Yeah, there's money to be made there, Chris.
Yeah. Like the money's already being made there, right? Like this is just going to essentially save them a shit ton of money and make them more money. So if you have the customer, it's not like they're looking for product market fit already. You know what I'm saying? Like they already have this whole shit established. But yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I hear you.
Yeah, you're right, man. And you know, I don't think, you know, it's just the way this is going to have to play out, and we're going to have to see where it goes. It's definitely not crypto native. This is like, obviously this is like their own private blockchain where they can do whatever they want. And, you know, whether we use that or people choose to use that, they probably will. But we'll see. This has to play out over some years here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a few years for it to play out. It's just like the whole treasury company thing, right? Like you're now playing by kind of the traditional finance rules, and there's like for they're called DATs is how they're classifying them, digital asset treasury companies. for a DAT to implode, they have to go through all of the different filings once per month, right? So it's going to be like a gigantic slow implosion that everyone's going to see coming. And you probably see something like this with all of these like fintech and traditional companies coming in and building their LLMs. It's going to be a slow implosion, but all of the crypto natives are going to be able to identify it quite early to see for it to happen. And it's going to go roll back. Maybe.
I mean, like, I only say that because with every DAT that gets spun up, like speculation increases like 100-fold. Like everyone saw SharpLink hit the market, and everybody went and got super fucking long on call options, and no one uses call options in crypto. And so this was probably like a huge majority of their first time using call options because they saw people were getting super long on MicroStrategy with the call option strategy, and they made a ton of money. So they just like replicated it. And now you have people that never even touched calls before, and they're just kind of caking on all this different leverage. So I think like as more of them spin up, every one of them is like way more speculative than the first one. And they have to find a way to outperform. Like, how does Bitminer outperform SharpLink? And then a third one comes in and it's like, well, how do I now I'm 5x leveraged. Okay. Well, and then, so they just like find different ways to look to juice their returns. And it just gets way more speculative the more that they get spun up.
We all know the way this ends, bro.
yeah, for sure. I don't think it's going to be a slow grind.
Early.
Yeah.
Early.
I don't know for early, man. I don't know for early.
But it's interesting. Enterprise blockchain 2.0 era, just like the ICO 2.0, right? So we're taking all of the traditional ideas, right? IPOs, they're just rolling it into ICOs, right? Because everyone who participates in IPOs probably has no idea ICOs even exist. So to them, it's going to be ICO 1.0 era.
Yeah, that's definitely happening. I think that's definitely happening. These Wall Street, everyone wants to get on chain, and they all think it's their idea. Oh, I'm going to spin up a business, and I'm going to launch a token, and that's going to be huge.
And then
we called this like a year ago. ICO season 2.0, man.
100%.
I got ENS names to sell them. Listen to my way.
Oh, by the way, somebody was in my DMs trying to sell me migrate.fund.eth.
Yeah, same. That says another person went and claimed all of the Migrate Fund accounts, social media, and Agent Hustle ones, and they've been DMing me 5 times a day to do some sort of transfer, but they want to do a video screen share to do it. So I basically blocked them, and they started DMing other people for me to contact them. And I was like, this is 100% a scam. And if it's not a scam, then I'm terrified. Like, this guy's going to come after me in some way. Take these Migrate Fund social media accounts.
Domain squatting 2.0, bro. This is
my thing is like, does that strategy actually work? Like, you go,
it worked 15, 20 years ago.
Like you go and you see a new company just started. So you go buy their domain and try to sell it back to them. Like, every person I've ever talked with that's happened to just basically tells the person to go fuck off. Like, I've never seen a time where that actually worked.
That's literally the ENS way. Like, I spent 2.5 years in the ENS trenches. That is exactly what they do. They squat. Yeah.
Everyone hates a squatter. Like, what are you hitting? 1 in 100 where they'll pay you $1,000, I guess. Like, maybe that's the strategy, I guess. But
nobody uses .eth names.
Yo, stop flooding my ENS bags. ENS are not working together. You better stop flooding my ENS bags, boy.
It was a good talk today. It was cool. Dave, always appreciate you for coming on. Lots of stuff happening in the ecosystem. I hope everyone is ready. I'm going to wrap it up here. So appreciate everyone. We'll be back next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Until then, everyone have a fun and safe weekend and hustle on.
Later, guys.
Take care.